State's most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. We find ourselves at 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. All right, we got a sunny, warm day, kind of reminiscent of yesterday. We do have chance of rain on the way for tomorrow, though. Now, once again, we got that weird skew of temperatures along I-44, where we sit right at the freezing point in Miami at 32, but up in Joplin, already sitting at 45. How about 46 in Carthage? And then we'll go 39 in Neodesha and 43 in Chanute. Skywatch Storm Tracker looking clear as a bell. Remember that blue you see on the sweeping radar? Just that residual that it picks up right around that tracking site. And not a whole lot of difference as far as what our temperature is and what we actually feel like. For the bus stop forecast, yeah, like I said, reminiscent of yesterday as we push up to 50 degrees around the 9 o'clock hour. And we're looking at that low pressure system. That was the one yesterday that was just off the coast of Los Angeles. Now, as it progresses towards the Rockies, of course, it's going to turn into snow for the upper elevations, but it'll drop back into rain by the time it gets to us. In the meantime, our Thursday sets up absolutely delightful. Throw up sunny skies. We'll see a 70 every now and then, just like we did yesterday. Average high is going to be about the high 60s. But now, as we work toward tonight into tomorrow, it's not going to be widespread rain. It's going to be pretty light. It's going to be more so the western and the southern portions of the 4 states. So not everybody's going to see rain. It should be done about the noon hour. Then it clears out for Saturday, and looking like a great March weekend ahead of us, as we're going to have temperatures that are going to be back in the high 50s, low 60s. Then we can actually talk about some thunderstorm activity by the time we get to next Tuesday. Get outside, enjoy everything today. Kansas Highway Patrol responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pittsburg State University campus. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street near campus, and authorities left the scene with the device about 7 p.m. yesterday evening. Authorities so far have not released any more information at this time. A bomb squad detonated a suspicious package near the federal courthouse in Kansas City, Missouri, Wednesday evening. The immediate area was evacuated after it was discovered, authorities saying the streets in front of the courthouse would remain closed while they finish their investigation. Police say the FBI is leading the investigation because the situation did involve a federal building. Ottawa County, Oklahoma, a whole lot safer thanks to the work of the Miami Police Department and law enforcement partners. Miami Police Chief Thomas Anderson says detectives with his department and partnering agencies were able to locate a number of guns that were stolen from Don Hume's leather goods at a Miami residence. And it was thanks in fashion to what he says is good old police work.
Miami PD officers, along with an officer from BIA, another one from the Quapaw Nation tribal marshals, all went out, started beating the streets and doing what they do best.
The chief also says arrests are forthcoming, and he's hoping the remaining guns can be located as the investigation wraps up. But until then, he's tipping his cap to the officers who've located the firearms and applauding all agencies involved for their teamwork. A 4-state pharmacist would like to see more coronavirus vaccines go to locally armed pharmacies. The owner of Walker Drug in Pittsburg, in Baxter Springs, says that Walker just got started getting coronavirus vaccines last week. Now, many of those came just yesterday, including 100 doses of the new Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine. But he also wishes the doses had come sooner, since the pharmacy has been ready to get going for a number of months.
It was very frustrating in the very beginning because we were prepped and ready to go. We give vaccines all year round. And so this is nothing new. It's just a matter of you have to have the right vaccine, in this case the COVID-19 vaccine, in order to implement the inoculation, the immunization of our citizens.
Time to go back to Joplin, where a new air service provider is coming to the regional airport, Envoy Air. It's operating the flights currently at the airport under the American Eagle banner. Of course, that's a part of American Airlines. Now, AA entered the Joplin market under what's called the Essential Air Service. It's an EAS subsidy, and it's provided by the Department of Transportation. Now, American began operating on its own without the subsidy a couple years ago. Of course, what we've been through the past year, market conditions made it very difficult for them to continue offering the flights to Dallas and Chicago. But with this new EAS bid, SkyWest is going to take over flights at the airport effective June 1. SkyWest is going to operate through United Express. That's going to be a part of United Airlines. And that change means no longer flights to Dallas at the airport.
SkyWest is one of the biggest carriers, the largest regional carrier in the United States, and they fly for a number of different, they fly for American, they fly for Delta, they fly for United, but primarily they fly for United Airlines.
Those flights expected to go to Denver and Chicago, and Steve Stockham says the airport hopes to have more information on those SkyWest flights in the coming weeks. Pittsburgh residents might want to check out a new customer service kiosk at City Hall. It's in the drive-thru on the south side of the City Hall. It lets residents pay utility bills using cash, check, or credit card. You can also access your account balance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The kiosk voice instructions, not only in English, but also in Spanish.
We've had customers, we've actually been using it a little bit, and we've actually helped customers use it already, and there have been customers who just really loved it. They're like, this is great, this is going to be awesome.
Our Spanish-speaking customers?
Customers can now only pay water bills. There are plans to also include payments for building permits and licenses, as well as court payments. Just about 5:07. Let's transition. It actually is 5:07. How about that? Sometimes you get lucky on a Thursday, huh? Going to transition into temperatures that are going to be upper 60s, low 70s. Absolutely delightful. Remember, low pressure system is going to work its way through the 4 states just in time around midnight. Watch this thing take off through western Kansas, transitions back into rain. Not everybody's going to see rain, though. It's going to be light, and it's really going to hit mostly the western and southern portions of our area and then duck down in to the southeast. That is a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, yesterday started the postseason for Missouri Southern. Get down in there! We got highlights, plus the debate over supply. Some people calling for everyone to get the first dose of the vaccine before there's enough supply for the second shot. We're going to find out why the CDC disagrees. And the issue of trans athletes in sports heats up in state legislators across the nation. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We've got more real news in the morning. Be right back after this. I'm sorry, I got caught on the Meghan and Harry promo. My bad. Regular season is over. It's now postseason time for Pittsburg State and Missouri Southern basketball. We'll start on the men's side. Missouri Southern, number 4 seed in the MIAA tournament bracket. Lions get to host in round 1. They were up against Central Oklahoma, and these two split their first 2 meetings over the regular season. We'll start with Shamar Smith. Oh, goodness. How about a little one-handed? But guess what? Cam Martin, he's got a 3 from your living room. Look at this. Yeah! You won't go one-handed? How about that? RJ Smith finishes it off for Southern. Second half, dunk fest. Cam Martin, that's our boy. He dropped 31 last night. Offense was on for the Lions, but you got to get a stop. Cam Givens with a 3. Central Oklahoma knocks off Missouri Southern. Put some points on the board, gentlemen. This is no joke. Your final score, 109 to 101. On the women's side, Pitt State, you want to talk about a tough one to open up the tournament. Defense was looked really good last night. They were on the road against 14th ranked Nebraska Kearney. They could not get a shot to fall all night long. Lopers win it 66-50. Now, the senior, Maya Williams. This is how you finish off. 13 points, 6 rebounds. What a marvelous career for her. Pitt State finishes the season with a 14-9 overall record. Missouri Southern women also on the road. And never a good one when you got to face top-seeded, at least in the MIAA, top-seeded Fort Hays State, as Fort Hays State wins at 71-44. Missouri Southern finishes its season with a 9-14 overall record. Macaulay girls are district champions. They are now in the Class 1 state bracket. Macaulay gets to play at home in the sectional round, hosting Montrose. Winner of this one moves on to the Class 1 state quarterfinals. Welcome to the quarterfinals, Macaulay. Big win, 70-45, Kennedy DeRee. Yeah, you know, no bigs. I'm just going to pour in a game high, 31 points. Joplin boys head coach Jeff Hafer has resigned after 7 years of leading the program. The school made the announcement yesterday. Hafer led the team to 2 district titles, says he wants to spend more time watching his kids play. For more on his resignation, you can check out the story on our sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. Just as an aside, I'm going to do a little editorial right here. I had the privilege of watching Jeff Hafer play his first game in college and his last game in college, and every game in between. Anybody who sees Jeff today, tell him that those of us who raised our kids and ended up coaching basketball at some point in our kids' lives wanted our kids to play as hard as Jeff Hafer played. Thank you, Jeff. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a retaliation attack.
Rockets hit a U.S. airbase in Iraq. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with a look at the damage and the details.
And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, where are we at? 5:18, so just a little bit past our weather on the 7th. Still waiting on sunrise, of course, 6:45. We got a little bit to go here. Let's go ahead and check our current conditions outside the mothership where we sit at 45 degrees. Look at that. Well, that was an interesting one. Look at that. That's called live television magic, folks. How about that? Humidity, 58%. It's going to be another very, very dry day. And I hate to sound like a broken record when I say this, but we are going to have elevated fire risks, especially down in the southern portion of the 4 states. That's a big difference in temperature. I've been curious about that, just between Joplin and Miami. We're not talking about a huge travel difference there along I-44, but it has been consistent here for the past couple of days. Wind coming in from the south, but certainly not too bad. Let's go ahead and talk 7-day forecast, and we'll revert back and talk about our rain that's coming in on Friday. But today's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Partly sunny skies, 71 degrees. Cloud cover really won't develop until the afternoon and evening hours. As far as our Friday rain goes, it's moving over the Rockies right now. It'll turn back into rain as it pushes across western and central Kansas. But what we're going to see is really the southern portion and the western portion of the 4 states. You work east, you work north, you're going to stay on a dry side. Let's go back to that 7-day forecast because this rain is going to be pretty light. It's really not going to amount to anything. And then we're right back into the high 50s, low 60s for Saturday and Sunday. Now, we've been talking about severe weather preparedness month, and look at what's coming on Tuesday. We actually throw a lightning bolt in there. It's been a while since we've done something like that, but that will be when we actually begin thunderstorm activity in earnest. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Legal battles questioning the eligibility of female transgender athletes in school sports. That's what's heating up as more states push to ban female trans students from competing against their gender counterparts. Ashley Strohmeyer, she has the reasons a growing number of lawmakers say female trans kids have no place on a public school team.
More than 20 states are trying to ban transgender girls from competing in school sports. In Mississippi, House officials overwhelmingly passed a bill Wednesday ruling trans students can't play on girls' or women's teams at any of the state's schools or universities. Proponents say a biological man who transitions into a female will automatically have an advantage in women's sports because of their chemical and physical composition.
Policymakers are giving in to an ideology that simply ignores biological reality and denies equal opportunities to women.
The issue even made its way into former President Trump's speech at last week's CPAC.
Young girls and women are incensed that they are now being forced to compete against those who are biological males.
But according to the Associated Press, a large number of lawmakers are having difficulty proving transgender athletes are a cause for concern. The AP says when supporters did provide evidence, many used the same example, citing a pair of female transgender runners in Connecticut who years ago won more than a dozen championship titles. Trans activists say critics are just trying to make a mountain out of a molehill.
It's a lot of fear mongering, sort of almost mob mentality to go after this teeny tiny group of kids who certainly pose no threat to anyone whatsoever.
Many high schools and colleges do not collect data on trans athlete participation. So far, at least 19 states have full inclusion policies allowing any transgender student to play on a school team. Our question for you on the Facebook page and our morning Insta poll: should transgender athletes be allowed to play on a school sports team? Let us know your thoughts on the Facebook page and take a vote on our poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Healthwatch is next. Topping Healthwatch this morning in the war on COVID-19. Getting a vaccine is important. That's something top U.S. health experts agree upon. But get this, with limited vaccine supplies, some of those experts are arguing the United States should only give 1 dose of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines to provide more supplies for other people. Then you've got the CDC. It completely disagrees. Mandy Gaither has the story.
With vaccine scarcity and an eye towards protecting as many Americans as possible, the first 2 vaccines approved in the U.S. are now at the center of a debate.
I would much rather listen to Dr. Fauci, who's a trusted national expert. What we know is that the science shows for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, in order to be fully protected, you need to get at least 2 doses.
When it comes to the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, the CDC says 2 doses offer better protection from coronavirus variants, which are believed to be more contagious. But former Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams, who served under President Trump, tweeted, "Good protection for many with 1 shot is better than great protection for a few. 2,000 people a day are dying because they can't get a first COVID-19 shot, not because they can't get a second." Later clarifying with, "I'm not saying it's 100% the right way to go. I'm saying there's enough data/evidence to suggest it's not 100% the wrong way to go."
Do you have an appointment?
As vaccinations across the country continue, CDC advisors are mixed on whether those who have recovered from a coronavirus infection should get just a single dose, stretching vaccine supplies and making the vaccination process easier. Some experts say the natural infection could act as a first dose, but as of now, the CDC policy is to give everyone 2 doses of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines at the recommended intervals. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC is expected to release guidance later this week for people who have been fully vaccinated, including recommendations for social interactions and travel. That is a look at some of today's top health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News. Let's transition over to that infamous 7-day forecast. Look at that Thursday on our hands. 71, partly sunny skies, mild temperatures. Cannot beat it. You know what? I may bump that panel up to warm. We're going to talk about 71 because yesterday was absolutely beautiful. And, right on par for where we were yesterday. Friday, here comes the rain. We'll break that down in just a second.
State's most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning. Michael Hayslip here with you from the Skywatch Weather Center. We take a live look outside of television city. Yeah, a little traffic going on out there. About time everybody get up and going. Nah, I'm just kidding you. But anyway, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Thursday as we're able to have temperatures that are going to work up into the 70s. And we sit at 45 degrees right now at the 5:30 hour. We're ranging anywhere from mid-40s throughout southwest Missouri to even low 30s down in northeast Oklahoma, but really no travel concerns as the Skywatch storm tracker remains extremely clear and we're off to a great March start. A little bit of a difference there in the wind chill. You'll see it knock down a couple degrees, but because it moves in from the south like it has for the last couple of days, it also means warm temperatures up into the 50s by the time we get to 9 a.m. on the bus stop forecast. We talked about that low pressure system on the Pacific coast yesterday. Well, it's already made its way just through the four corners right now, about to make it over the Rockies, in which case it will be snow, but then make its way back to rain after it reaches western Kansas and then head our way. So we'll kind of eyeball really in between midnight and say noon. So the cloud cover begins this afternoon, and clouds aren't going to slow us down temperature-wise, but here comes the rain. Now, not widespread, very light, breaking up. Really going to be the western and southern portions of the four states. You live east, you live north, you stay on the dry side. And our temperature is going to be absolutely delightful into the weekend as we're going to hit high 50s, low 60s on both Saturday and Sunday. Really not have to worry about any true spring thunderstorm activity until we get to Tuesday. Kansas Highway Patrol responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pittsburg State University campus yesterday. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street. Authorities left the scene with the device, did so a little after 7 yesterday evening. Now, authorities are not releasing any more information at this time. In Parsons, Kansas, the police department says it arrested a man for allegedly shooting a dog. Police say they have video that shows the man shot the dog, even though the dog did not make any threatening moves towards the man. When officers found the dog, it was still alive, but in shock, so it was rushed to the Parsons Animal Hospital for care. The suspect has not yet been officially charged. A four-state pharmacist wants more coronavirus vaccines to go to more locally owned pharmacies. The owner of Walker Drug in Baxter Springs, Kansas, says it just started getting coronavirus vaccines last week, many of them coming just yesterday. And that includes 100 doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine. But he also says he wishes the doses would have come sooner, since he says his pharmacy has been ready to get going for a number of months. The reported numbers of COVID-19 deaths in Oklahoma jumped by about 2,500 overnight. Tuesday, the Sooner State reported a little more than 4,500 deaths. Yesterday, that number increased to more than 7,000. The increase is because the state health department began using the count reported by the Federal Centers for Disease Control, aka CDC. Officials say the state's lower total was due to Oklahoma more fully investigating deaths of people diagnosed with COVID-19 rather than relying only on death certificates. Joplin Regional Airport is going to have a new flight service provider starting June 1, as our KOAM's Chris Warner explains. The new provider comes with a new destination for travelers out of the airport, but it also takes away an option that some have become very used to.
For the past several years, American Airlines has been providing service to Joplin's airport with flights to Dallas and 4 times Chicago. Initially, American was brought to Joplin through the Essential Air Service program from the Department of Transportation. As time went on, American was able to operate without the subsidy and stayed in Joplin. But the pandemic took its toll on travel, and Joplin's air service was up for bid again for Essential Air Service. This time, it was picked up by Skywatch.
Skywatch is one of the biggest carriers, the largest regional carrier in the United States, and they fly for a number of different, they fly for American, they fly for Delta, they fly for United, but primarily they fly for United Airlines.
The change means the Chicago flights will return to the normal schedule, and Denver will be added as a second hub.
We knew the Chicago market was going to be a strong market, but we also didn't recognize how strong Denver was going to be out of that. So as part of this process, that was a huge part of the evaluation as we went through.
However, that means the Dallas flights will no longer be offered at the airport. We spoke with travelers at the airport. Some said it won't have an impact on them. However, Kay Winrick frequently flies out of Joplin to Dallas.
I always hate to see something go because we're used to it, but if something new comes in and it works out fine, then I'm fine with it.
We also contacted several local travel agencies. One told us they feel the change will be good as it helps with eastern markets through Chicago and opens up markets in the west through Denver. Another agency we spoke with said they're optimistic about opening the western markets, but know that not having a direct southern route will be inconvenient to their customers. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Some travelers also expressed concerns over miles that they've earned with American Airlines. Steve Stockham tells us that those miles, they're an asset to the specific airline. No, they cannot be transferred. However, you can be able to transfer your membership status and level from American to United. Steve Stockham says they hope to have more information on Skywatch flights in the coming weeks. That is a look at today's top news stories. Coming up on the half hour of KOAM Morning News, we have a favorite restaurant that's willing to go the extra mile to visit. But one California family is going a whole lot of extra miles for their favorite. They're going to visit every In-N-Out burger in the country. I do not know if their travel miles are transferable either. And a rocket attack on a U.S. military base follows Friday's U.S. airstrike on militias in Syria. We'll have those details as well. Right now it's 5:37. On the 7-day forecast, we'll have temperatures that'll make it up into the high 60s, low 70s, partly sunny skies today. Light rain on Friday, more so for the western and southern portions of the 4 states. Looking like a nice weekend, though, as we'll get more sunshine, high 50s, low 60s. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Topping World Watch, the White House says it is assessing the situation after rockets hit a military base in Iraq that houses around 2,000 U.S.-led coalition troops. Wednesday's rocket attack follows Friday's U.S. airstrike on militias in Syria that are backed by what the United States says is Iran. Skylar Henry has the latest from the White House.
Shows the wreckage of what Iraqi forces believe was the launch pad to carry out Wednesday's rocket attack on a military base used by American forces in Iraq.
Approximately 10 rockets were fired from points of origin east of the base.
The attack on Al-Assad Air Base is the first since the U.S. struck Iran-backed militia targets in Syria last week. The White House says it's evaluating the situation.
We're identifying who's responsible, and we'll make judgments from that point.
Wednesday's attack targeted the same base that Iran struck in January of last year, injuring dozens of U.S. servicemen in what was the largest ever ballistic missile attack against Americans. That attack was in retaliation for the U.S.-directed drone strike that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani.
The Pentagon says the base's missile defensive systems engaged during the attack, and there are no reports of any injuries to U.S. service members. However, one American civilian contractor died of a heart attack.
Wednesday's rocket strike comes 2 days ahead of Pope Francis's trip to Iraq, where he's expected to not only meet with Christians who were persecuted during the Islamic State insurgency, but also try to boost ties with the Shiite Muslim world. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Iraq security forces are leading the investigation into Wednesday's rocket strikes. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Nature put on one amazing light show in the skies in Finland. A local photographer capturing the northern lights over the country's Lapland region. This was all taken on Tuesday night. Spectacular sight, also known as the Aurora Borealis. Well, it was visible over a frozen lake for more than an hour. The month of March, it is said to be the best month to see the northern lights, and that is because of what we call augmented solar wind conditions. Right up there with tropospheric ducting, if you would like to have a long-form conversation with that. A critically endangered black rhino is born in captivity. Now, zookeepers at the Taronga Western Plains Zoo in Australia very excited to announce the newest family member. It's a female black rhino calf, barely 1 week old. That footage that we just saw there shows the calf just hours after its birth. I don't know why that dude is on there, but the rhino was bonding with her mother, Bakita. There we go. That's the first female black rhino born at the zoo. That is a look at some of our biggest headlines from around the world. Now we turn it over to our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, as more than 20 states are trying to ban transgender girls from competing in school sports. Take VO. Thank you. Our question to you is, should transgender athletes be allowed to play on a high school sports team? We'll begin our conversation with Casey Haugerty. He says it's not transgender boy/girl, it's transgender. Casey says not in between but confused. Fact checkers and Karens welcome. Warning for anyone disagreeing, your feelings will get hurt. Jeremy Essery says they should give them their own competition, a third sector. Cindy Lou says no, we are not the same. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out. And Sheila Eccles says, born to girl, compete with girls. Born a boy, compete with boys. How simple is that? Sheila says, this is getting ridiculous. Now, on our KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, right now, 89% of you going with no. Transgender athletes should not be allowed to play on a school sports team. Once again, you can leave your comments on the KOAM News Now Facebook page or let us know your vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this. Check out today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. U.S. Capitol is under heightened security today amid new intelligence from an FBI warning of a potential domestic terror attack in the nation's capital. The threat is driven by a QAnon conspiracy theory that former President Trump will be inaugurated Thursday, March 4th. Kansas Highway Patrol responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pittsburg State University campus yesterday. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street, and authorities left the scene with said device a little after 7 yesterday evening. Now, as of we stand this morning, authorities have not released any more information on the incident. A bomb squad detonated a suspicious device near the federal courthouse in Kansas City, Missouri, Wednesday evening. The immediate area was evacuated after it was discovered, as authorities said the streets in front of the courthouse remain closed until the investigation is over. Police say the FBI is leading the investigation because this situation does involve a federal building. And a new air service provider is coming to Joplin Regional Airport. It's Envoy Air. It operates the flights currently at the airport under the American Eagle banner, which of course is a part of American Airlines. American entered the Joplin market under what's called the Essential Air Service, EAS if you will, a subsidy that's provided by the Department of Transportation. But American began operating on its own without the subsidy a couple years ago. However, market conditions made it difficult for American to continue offering those flights to Dallas and Chicago. So through this new EAS bid, SkyWest is going to take over flights at the airport June 1 and operate through United Express, part of United Airlines. And that change means no longer will there be flights to Dallas at the airport. That is a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door. When you do head out the door, you're going to end up with a delightful March. But remember, it is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. And what you can do, if you pop open your phone, take a picture of that. That's going to take you right to the KOAM News app. The one on the right, obviously, is going to take you to the KOAM News Weather app, and it's as simple as that. We're going to bring that back throughout the duration of the show. So like I say, if you have your phone sitting around, it's as simple as taking a picture of either one of those. And that's going to be first and foremost, not only for your news applications, but for severe weather news as well. And we do our best to stay on top of those, keep those updated throughout the day. And it's essentially one-stop news and weather for you, all at the touch of your mobile device that you're going to have on you, no matter where you are, no matter what time of the day it is. And like I said, we will continue to pop those up throughout the course of the show. You don't even have to get up and walk up to your TV. We've tried it here, about 20, 30 feet away. You'll be sitting in your kitchen, take a picture of it, and it'll work. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Rhetorical question, but just take a second, think about it. How many days in a row could you eat fast food, whatever chain you want, without getting sick of it? All right, so here's what we've got. We got a California family that loves In-N-Out Burger. As a matter of fact, they love In-N-Out Burger so much that they decided they were going to use their quarantine time to visit every In-N-Out Burger in existence. Shelby Bracho tracks the 8 locations in what's called California's Central Valley, because that's where the family's going to be this weekend.
My son prides himself that this was his idea.
Sam Vonderheide and his 2 kids, Emery and Berkeley, love In-N-Out.
When I looked it up, it was like there's almost 360 of them. And I thought, whoa. And then I was like, there's 40 in Texas? And there's like over 30 in Arizona and a dozen in Utah. And I mean, I was like, this is going to be a much bigger challenge than I even thought it was.
The family has visited 316 of the 363 locations since July.
Just to have fun and find something to be happy and excited about in this year that's been really hard in a lot of ways. And so that's what this was for us. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people get happy about what we're doing, which makes me feel good.
The family now has over 7,000 people following their adventure on Instagram, and they've got plenty of swag to show for it.
Like a beach umbrella, we've gotten like a hammock, we've gotten like cookie jars. One store gave us an actual tile with a palm tree on it.
They always buy at least one thing from each location, and they've saved all the receipts.
We kind of have made it a goal to try as many of the different secret menu items as possible. One time we ordered all the different levels of the way you can have your French fries cooked, because that's a secret menu thing. There's 7 ways.
Their love for In-N-Out began with Sam's grandparents, who lived near the first ever In-N-Out in Baldwin Park, which opened in 1948.
I like to say my kids are 4th generation In-N-Out lovers.
And so far, they haven't gotten sick of it.
I guarantee tonight, if I ask them what they want, 50-50 chance they might say, let's go get In-N-Out.
Herein lies the rub. Vonderheide says In-N-Out Burger has opened up a few more locations since they started their adventure. And so the family now eager to check those new locations off their list as well, seemingly chasing your tail. KOAM News Now Facebook page and Morning Instapoll asking about transgender athletes and their participation in specifically school sports teams. Roger Brown says if you have to ask this question, then you are part of the problem. Rocky Cunningham says they should absolutely be able to play on the team of their gender And Rocky emphasizes at birth, period. We do love you, Aunt Pat. Matt Harris says they don't let biological girls take testosterone because it gives them an unfair advantage. You'll allow boys who say they're girls compete. And Guy Hansen writes, world champion woman Tori Bowie, 100 meters, lifetime best of 10.78, was beaten 15,000 times by men and boys, schoolboys, teenagers. I suggest we all stand united and fight this upside-down belief that the former Democrat Party is shoving down our throats. Tori Bowie, also a gold medalist, I believe, from 2016 Brazil, I think. But I know she runs 100, 200, 4x100, and she's also a long jumper, by the way. Little known thing about Tori Bowie is like we think about her as a track athlete, and it's like, oh, by the way, she long jumps as well. You can make your voice heard on the KOAM News Now Insta poll as well. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Right now, 90% of you checking in saying no. We'll get to more of your comments and keep updating those results as we progress through the show. Be back right after this. 70 and sunny today. Cloud cover builds up. We'll break down that rain coming at us on Friday when I see you in just a bit.
State's most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News, where we find ourselves at 6 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. We're going to have a sunny and warm day to enjoy. Now, the rain that we've been talking about from that low pressure system that was working off the Pacific coast yesterday, it's progressing just about to the Midwest. Let's break it down as we take a live look outside the mothership. Sky is beginning to lighten just a little bit, but we are in store for a delightful Thursday nonetheless. Sitting at 41 degrees right now. That humidity, remember, but this time yesterday, we were down about 45%. So we are starting to see a little bit of moisture work its way into the atmosphere. Not a bad thing because that will help us with our elevated fire concerns, especially in the southern and western portions of the four states. Still got a huge gap in temperatures though, as we're rolling 41s in Neosho, Carthage, and Joplin compared to 32 in Miami, 33 in Independence. And Chanute, tell me what you're doing in Chanute right there, because you've just woken up on this Thursday and been like, everybody else get out of our way. Already up into the 40s as well. It's a beautiful morning for everybody as we've got a clean Skywatch storm tracker. All that color code that you saw just came off of the sweeping radar. That's just the residual of that radar picking it up. We don't have any precipitation to worry about. Bus stop forecast, it's going to be sunny and dry once again as the wind works in from the south. That low pressure system is now sitting over the Four Corners as you see it making its way to the Rockies where it turns into snow before it develops back into rain. Don't worry about it for today. Actually, it won't present itself until we get to about midnight tonight into Friday morning. And we'll see the majority of the precipitation fall on the western and southern portions of the four states. Not widespread, very, very light. Not a whole lot of accumulation. Not going to have to worry about flooding. A little bit of a cold front on the backside of it, though. And you'll see the cooler temperatures reel in there and see how it dips straight down. But it sets up for a gorgeous weekend nonetheless. High 50s on Saturday, low 60s on Sunday. Roll into next week. Oh, until we get to Tuesday. Then we begin to talk about thunderstorm activity. But remember, that's why this is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Kansas Highway Patrol responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pittsburg State University campus yesterday. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street. Authorities left the scene with it and did so a little after 7 yesterday evening. Authorities have not released any more information at this time. A bomb squad detonated a suspicious package near the federal courthouse in Kansas City, Missouri yesterday. The immediate area evacuated after it was discovered, as authorities said the streets in front of the courthouse would remain closed until the investigation is over. The FBI is leading all of this because that device involved a federal building. A Baxter Springs pharmacist advocates for faster access to coronavirus vaccines for locally owned pharmacies. The owner of a handful of local pharmacies in southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri is pushing for more access to the vaccines, and that's why we bring in our own Zach Dodge.
A wave of relief and excitement from a single prick.
A little bitty prick?
I didn't even feel it. He's good.
Yoli Gayoso gets her first dose of Moderna vaccine at Walker Drug in Baxter Springs.
I was thinking of going to Columbus to have it done, but this is just a few minutes from home, so this is really convenient.
But at this time last week, the pharmacy didn't have any doses. It wasn't until February 25th that the pharmacy got their first shipment. 200 doses came in on Wednesday as well, including 100 doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine.
Well, you got the best shooter in the West. Right out of the bat, when we thought the distribution of the vaccines needed to come to the people rather than the people coming to the vaccine, we thought the community pharmacy was the best access.
So pharmacy owner Brian Caswell started getting ready for distribution, buying the right equipment and making sure employees were certified. But it wasn't until months later that they started getting their first doses.
There was a lot of pent-up frustration during those days getting ramped up, being ready and just not having the vaccine.
It was always a plan for vaccines to be distributed to community pharmacies like Walker Drug, as well as large chain pharmacies like Walmart and Walgreens. And it was announced in February that chain pharmacies like Walmart would start offering doses at retail locations. But they've just started to trickle in at community pharmacies.
There's story after story of community pharmacies that once they got the vaccine, they got them out there pretty quickly.
In Cherokee County as a whole, Public Information Officer David Groves explains the health department has used more than 2,000 doses. And if the local pharmacies had started getting them at the same time, their numbers could be even higher.
They know the people in our community. They have relationships with them. There's really no need at all for them not to be able to administer the vaccine.
Now that we got them in, we're rolling them out. We're glad to have that opportunity. We would like to appeal to the state and to the feds to say, you know, if we can get more, we can get more people in and out the door.
In Cherokee County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
President of the National Community Pharmacy Association. He says that since many pharmacies in Kansas are just now getting doses, they're having a hard time filling appointments in the current phase. So they may start pushing the state to move to phase 3. That way, no doses go to waste. A new air service provider is coming to the Joplin Regional Airport. Envoy Air operates the flights currently at the airport under the American Eagle banner. Of course, that'd be a part of American Airlines. Now, AA entered the Joplin market under what's called the Essential Air Service, EAS. It's provided by the Department of Transportation. American began operating on its own without the subsidy a couple years ago. Then we had a pandemic. Market conditions made it difficult for American to continue. And the flights to Dallas and Chicago, that's going to be a thing of the past. That's because through the new EAS bid, SkyWest is going to take over flights for the airport on June 1. Now, SkyWest is going to operate through United. That change means no longer will there be flights to Dallas at Joplin Regional Airport.
SkyWest is one of the biggest carriers, the largest regional carrier in the United States, and they fly for a number of different, they fly for American, they fly for Delta, they fly for United, but primarily they fly for United Airlines.
I know this is inconsequential to this story, but I would like to tell Steve Stockham that the thing on the back of your desk that I know came from your kids and your grandkids, that is tremendous, and it caught all of our attention here at the station. Steve Stockham also says that the airport hopes to have more information on the SkyWest flights here in the coming weeks. A new law in Arkansas allows for alcohol deliveries even after the end of the public health emergency. And of course, the public health emergency was the original reason for even allowing delivery. You're going to have restrictions. Alcohol can only be delivered to a private residence. Obviously, customers have to be at least 21 years old. I think that goes without saying. Deliveries also have to be in a county where alcohol is permitted. Yeah, you can't show up in a dry Arkansas county and just drop stuff off. Now, there are only 3 types of places that can do delivery: Retail liquor stores, microbrewery restaurants, and small breweries. Customers also cannot order from a third party. Alcohol has to come from an employee of one of those three. Now that we find ourselves at what we got, we're a little past 6:07. We'll call it 6:09. Doesn't matter. Good time to check out the 7-day forecast. Sunny skies early this morning. Temperatures working up to the 60s by the noon hour, topping out in the high 60s, low 70s for the afternoon. That Friday rain is going to be light. It is not going to be too widespread, more so for the western and southern portions of the 4 states. Best shot is going to be between midnight and noon, and then a delightful weekend with high 50s, low 60s. We'll be back right after this. In Money Watch this morning, another sign that the housing market remains red hot. All of this despite the COVID-19 pandemic. A new report found that inventory so low that homes in January sold in half the time they did 1 year ago. So what does that mean for buyers and sellers? Well, that's where we asked Mandy Gaither to explain.
Welcome.
If you're looking to buy a home this year, get ready to act fast in this red-hot competitive market.
We have twice as much money that we need to put down on the property, and we still just can't find someone to accept the offer.
A new report from the National Association of Realtors found the number of homes for sale is so low that in January, homes sold in half the time they did a year ago. The data shows properties sold typically stayed on the market for only 21 days. That's down from 43 days a year ago.
There have been four homes this year that I was able to put under contract before I actually listed the property on the multiple listing service.
So what's behind this? Real estate investors say 3 things: high demand, low supply, and near zero mortgage rates, along with the COVID-19 pandemic increasing the need for home space and delaying major expenses like weddings.
Everything was put on hold, so you have a group of people with good savings that are getting into the market.
The number of available properties for sale is at a record low. Just 2 months into 2021, the supply of unsold single-family homes matched December as the lowest level since the National Association of Realtors began tracking in 1982. If you're in the market for a home, experts recommend you stay flexible and explore properties below your maximum loan amount that may need some rehabbing.
So you have that buffer zone, right? And also, don't be afraid of a little bit of grease, a little bit of TLC.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Median sales price of existing homes rose nearly $304,000. That's a 14% increase than 1 year ago. That is it for Money Watch. Let's come back, check out 7-day forecast, roll some of your more Facebook comments, and also a little guest appearance by one Jesse Irwin right after this. Nothing like a good tease when it comes to NFL football, as I was giving my good friends Jesse and Brett a hard time about their Pittsburgh Steelers, and a good story that I got for them, but they're going to have to wait for that because you know what? We've got 4-state weather to talk about. 41 degrees is where we stand right now outside the mothership. Still a big discrepancy along I-44, 11 degree. We're down to 9 right now. I guess a 9-degree difference is what we're down to in between Miami and Joplin. It's actually larger before the sun started poking out. 36 degrees in Parsons and 42 in Monette. The wind tracker has us everything coming in from the south, but it has calmed down considerably from what we've had past couple of days. Beautiful, beautiful start for the kiddos, as we're even going to see 50 degrees by the time we get to the 9 o'clock hour, and the Skywatch storm tracker clear, crisp, and clean as can be. This is that low pressure system that we were talking about that was on the Pacific coast yesterday, now making its way over the Four Corners. Going to turn into snow as it makes its way over the Rockies, back into rain. But while all that's happening, we're up into the 70s today with a whole lot of sunshine. Then overnight, hanging out in the 40s and 50s. Can't beat it. However, Thursday afternoon, here comes that low pressure system. Going to bring us rain. It's mostly going to be western, southern portions of the 4 states. Nothing severe and really relatively light. We don't see anything bubbling up. We'll get out of here without any warnings, watches, no worry about flooding or anything like that. Cooler temperatures on Friday, drop down into the 50s right there. But then we're right back into the high 50s and 60s on Sunday. Now, over to Jesse in studio. Okay,
Well, in March 2020, the spread of COVID-19 left dentists to close their office doors to everyone but emergency patients. And while the stay-at-home order resulted in many rescheduled appointments and procedures, the pandemic continues to impact the world of oral health 1 year later. The timeless and occasionally cringeworthy soundtrack of the dentist's office. Sorry if you're not a fan, it's just been a while since a lot of Americans have had the chance to sit in the chair and listen. For Dr. Mendez, it all started last spring when, other than for the emergency appointments, his office was forced to close for 6 weeks because of the pandemic.
Poor Karen, our receptionist, had to spend so much time rescheduling people because we thought they kept saying, well, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. They kept extending it. And so that required her to have to recall people. Bite together for me. Bite your teeth. Thank you.
Karen tells us they had to reschedule close to 1,000 appointments. When they first reopened, hygienists like Rachel were initially seeing double their daily number of patients. Dr. Mendez says they've been able to see a lot of them, but it still presents its challenges.
Because we're seeing the regular scheduled patients plus the other ones that we've been working in, and cycles have changed, so yeah, it's a little difficult.
In regaining their rhythm, his office has also noticed the impact of the pandemic, both right behind the mask and in their patients' smiles.
Yeah, dry mouth and dry lips and zits, and yeah, that's all. We're seeing that with pretty much all age groups, teenage on. More people are having jaw problems, teeth problems, broken teeth, because they've been clenching and grinding and stressing out. So that's another thing that we've been seeing.
This past year has also raised concerns about the oral health of kids around the country. A nationwide poll shows the majority of parents say they haven't seen an improvement in their kids' care for their pearly whites. And 1/3 of parents say COVID-19 has made it difficult to make a dentist appointment at all for their child. To help families improve those statistics, campaigns like Delta Dental's Land of Smiles program, which typically visits hundreds of schools in Missouri each year, have made their educational program available for free online. Like your dentist, they stress the difference that the little things like brushing and flossing can really make.
Really, when a child has pain in their teeth, it limits them and it won't let them be a child. You know, they can't learn, they can't talk, they can't eat the way they should. So we really want to take that pain away by encouraging them to visit their dentist and also encouraging good oral health habits.
Our big job, yes, is make sure teeth are clean, gums are healthy, but it's to educate, remind, brush, floss, take care of those things on a regular basis. When you do it on a regular basis, then the big things usually don't show up unexpectedly.
We'll have the link to Delta Dental's program for you on our morning show page at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back after this. Topping Healthwatch this morning, states deciding to do away with coronavirus mask mandates are under fire. Some say it's too soon and could help spur a fourth surge in cases. Deborah Alfarone has the latest, including potential changes to that next relief bill.
It is now time to open Texas 100%.
It wasn't long after Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced he was doing away with all coronavirus restrictions plus the mask mandate that the criticism started rolling in.
And the last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters.
Medical experts from the federal to local levels are warning it's too soon to get complacent.
The science is the same as it was yesterday and the day before, and it will continue tomorrow. And that is masks prevent transmission.
Abbott says he made his decision, which goes into effect next week, based on the metrics.
By the time this order goes into effect, more than 50% of that vulnerable population will have received a vaccine to make sure that they are not going to be losing their life or be hospitalized.
Business owners are divided on whether it's time to drop the mandates.
No more 6 people in the store waiting in a line outside. So silly. Done. Finished.
Nobody wants business to return more than me. You know, I think we're very close, and I would hate to get in the way of the progress we're making.
Back here on Capitol Hill, as the Senate gets set to start votes on the latest coronavirus relief bill, CBS News has learned that President Biden has struck a deal with moderate Democrats to make those $1,400 direct payments more targeted.
We're all making some small compromises.
Under the deal, those checks will now go out to single filers making at most $80,000 and $160,000 for joint filers. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
The Senate's expected to hold its first procedural vote on the coronavirus bill today. Thousands more Americans now have health care under the Affordable Care Act. Federal data released Wednesday shows that more than 206,000 people signed up on the recently reopened federal exchange. Now, in January, President Biden ordered the exchange open for a special enrollment period. During those first 2 weeks, the number of signups nearly tripled. Special enrollment runs till May 15th. Global CO2 emissions have rebounded to their pre-pandemic levels, and in some major economies even surpassed them. The International Energy Agency says governments around the world are missing a historic opportunity to build clean energy into their recovery packages. Global CO2 fell an estimated 6% last year, but the UN says global greenhouse gases would have to fall that much every year through 2030 to meet targets in the Paris Climate Accord. And new studies found that vaping marijuana is linked to lung injury in teens. The study was published Wednesday in the Journal of Adolescent Health. It found that teens are twice as likely to report wheezing or whistling in the chest after vaping pot than after smoking cigarettes or using e-cigs. Now, the researchers at the University of Michigan were surprised by the findings. They expected to see more negative respiratory symptoms from cigarette and e-cigarette users. And while they say those behaviors are unhealthy, vaping marijuana is apparently even worse. Well, that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, Jesse, delightful Thursdays. We're going to have sunny skies. We're back up into the high 60s, low 70s. Cloud cover will begin to develop later tonight as the low pressure system from the Pacific coast begins to work in. Light rain in between midnight and noon tomorrow, more so for the western and southern portion of the 4 states. We'll be right back right after this.
4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30 a.m. I'm Jesse Irwin. We've got sunny, warm weather for you to enjoy, but there is a slight chance of rain on the way here tomorrow. But Mike is going to give us the latest with his forecast.
Well, Jesse and I were talking about documentaries that we would like to see.
It's a good documentary.
Out and about, you know. Yeah, I know. Sometimes we let entertainment get in our way on the morning show, but that's why we have fun on the KOAM Morning News. Great shot outside of Television City. Absolutely gorgeous Thursday morning. 41 degrees is where we stand. This is another key factor right here. Past couple of days, we've seen that number drop as low as about 49 to 45% early on. That's an elevated fire risk that we have. So we like the fact that that's a little bit higher. That's a result of that low pressure system that's moving in out of the Rockies right now, originated out by LA. We'll get to that in a second. 36 in Pittsburg, 41 in Neosho. Let's go 32 right now in Miami with a very clean Skywatch storm tracker. And even with the southerly breeze, we're not seeing much of a difference there as far as what it feels like. Bus stop forecast. We're going to have sunrise at 6:46, southerly breeze. But look at this, 50 degrees by the time we get to 9 a.m. Absolutely delightful. That's that low pressure system that we talked about over the Pacific. Now, as it makes its way toward the Rockies, comes back into snow, obviously elevated areas, but then it's going to drop back into rain as it makes its way through western and central Kansas and heads toward us. So the first thing we'll see is some evening cloud cover that develops. Not a bad thing, traps in that heat from today. And really we're going to see the majority of our rain on the western and southern portions of the 4 states. Live out to the east, out to the north, stay on the dry side. And everything's going to stay light. We're not talking about anything severe. It's kind of in and out. Temperatures do drop on Friday, down to the low 50s, but then we're right back into the high 50s and 60s on Saturday and Sunday. Jesse?
Thanks, Michael. Well, the Kansas Highway Patrol yesterday responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pitt State campus. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street near the campus, and authorities left the scene with the device a little after 7 yesterday evening. Now, authorities are not releasing any more information at this time. Ottawa County, Oklahoma is a whole lot safer thanks to the work of the Miami Police Department, as well as officers with the Quapaw Nation and the Bureau of Indian Affairs. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke with Miami's Chief of Police to learn more.
Barbara Hayworth is a Miami, Oklahoma grandmother who's applauding city police and their partners after they successfully recovered more than 50 stolen guns.
Well, I think it's good. It kind of eases your mind about it, and that they are out there and they're protecting us.
Miami Police Chief Thomas Anderson says detectives with his department and partnering agencies were able to locate many of the guns stolen from Don Hume Leather Goods at a Miami residence, thanks to good old-fashioned police work.
Miami PD officers, along with an officer from BIA, another one from the Quapaw Nation tribal marshals, all went out, started beating the streets and doing what they do best.
This case is off to a solid start, but the chief says it's far from closed.
We are still waiting for an inventory from the business. They estimated just at 100 probably, and maybe a little over 100 guns that were stolen.
The chief also says arrests are forthcoming, and he's hoping the remaining guns can be located as the investigation wraps up. Until then, he is tipping his cap to the officers who have located the firearms, and applauding all agencies involved for their cooperation and teamwork.
We have just such a great relationship now with the county sheriff's office, with all the adjoining agencies, with the tribal agencies, and we work together. Everybody's goal is to make our community safer, and not just Miami, the entire county, the entire area.
In Miami, Oklahoma, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
KOAM reached out to the owner of Don Hume Leather Goods for his thoughts on the gun recovery, but he was out of town and unavailable for comment. A new air service provider is coming to the Joplin Regional Airport. Envoy Air is operating the flights currently at the airport under the American Eagle banner as part of American Airlines. American Airlines had entered the Joplin market under the Essential Air Service, or EAS, subsidy provided by the Department of Transportation. Now, American began operating on its own without the subsidy a couple of years ago, but market conditions made it difficult for them to continue offering the Dallas and Chicago flights in the city. Through a new EAS bid, SkyWest will take over flights at the airport effective June 1st. SkyWest will operate through United Express, a part of United Airlines, and that change means that there will no longer be Dallas flights at the airport. A four-state pharmacist would like to see more coronavirus vaccines go to more locally owned pharmacies. The owner of Wolcar Drug in Baxter Springs says they're just getting started, or they just started getting coronavirus vaccines last week. Now, many of them came yesterday, including 100 doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine, but he wishes the doses had come sooner since the pharmacy has been ready to get going for months. A rural Missouri county near the Iowa border says it was left with around 150 unused doses from a mass vaccination drive on Saturday. The Putnam County Health Department said it received 2,340 doses for the Pfizer vaccine for a mass vaccination event, but only 700 people were vaccinated, leaving the health department with nearly 1,500 unused doses that were then given to other counties. Health officials say 143 doses had to be thrown out. Once a vaccine's diluted, health officials say it must be used within 6 hours or it goes bad. Governor Parson says he's disappointed with what happened and that something needs to change.
It's unfortunate what happened up there. We're very disappointed in what happened in that particular site when you consider everything we've done up to that point. It went fairly smoothly till we got there, but corrections are going to have to be made, no doubt about it.
Well, there were several reasons for the doses being thrown out. Health officials say in some cases needles dislodged, not all vials rendered 6 doses. Some people who reserved an appointment did not show up, and others booked duplicate appointments. Well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the Capitol threat.
The U.S. Capitol is on high alert after warnings of a possible attack against lawmakers. I'm Deborah Alfarone at the Capitol with what today's date signifies for some conspiracy theorists.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning, we're asking whether you feel transgender athletes should be allowed to play on school sports teams. We let you weigh in on that, but the time is 6:37.
And this is that low pressure system I was talking about, Jesse. Kind of zero in on that and look at how it's developed as snow, but that's the elevated area over the Rockies. It's going to turn back into rain after it drops into western and central Kansas. Really not going to play too much of a role in our weather. We're going to get light rain on Friday. I tell you what, if you got Thursday plans, go soak up the sun. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous outside. High 60s, low 70s, and a whole bunch of sunshine. And even after we skirt through our Friday rain, which once again I want to emphasize is going to be light, not going to be severe, gorgeous weekend. Sunshine, high 50s, low 60s on Saturday and Sunday. We'll be right back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, until 1933, Inauguration Day was held today, March 4th. It's for that reason some extremist groups believe a conspiracy theory that former President Trump will take office again today. Now, Capitol Hill is on lockdown as officials warn of a possible attack against lawmakers. CBS's Deborah Alfarone is there with the latest.
Capitol Hill is under heightened security this morning due to ongoing threats from domestic extremists nearly 2 months after the January 6th attack.
We do realize that the possibility of a similar incident occurring in the current environment is a very clear and present danger.
A bulletin obtained by CBS News warns of more violence with little or no warning. The threat is driven by a QAnon conspiracy theory that former President Trump will be inaugurated today.
President Trump has a responsibility to tell them to stand down.
The acting chief of the Capitol Police said threats against lawmakers have almost doubled in 1 year.
The threats are through the roof.
The National Guard's D.C. commander was here on Capitol Hill yesterday. Major General William Walker testified that it was inaction by the Pentagon that caused a 3-hour delay for his troops to be sent in to stop the insurrection.
Army senior leaders did not think that it looked good, it would be a good optic.
Walker recalled the urgent request by former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund.
His voice cracking with emotion indicated that there was a dire emergency at the Capitol, and he requested the immediate assistance of as many available National Guardsmen that I could muster.
As a precaution, the House of Representatives moved a vote on police reform set for today till last night. The Senate will be in to debate the COVID-19 relief bill. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Well, the House moved up today's business to last night, passing 2 bills, including one on police reform named in honor of George Floyd. A sweeping policing reform bill that may face GOP challenges in the Senate. Now, Democrats pushed it through the House late yesterday, and threats of violence against the Capitol. The bill named in honor of George Floyd, which would include a ban on chokeholds. 2 former aides to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo rejected his emotional apology yesterday. They're among the 3 women who accused the governor of inappropriate conduct. Cuomo says he's sorry and embarrassed, but he won't resign from office.
That is a look at this morning's top national headlines. Now let's turn it over to Michael for our something to talk about.
Thanks, Michael. Let's toss it over to Mike.
Come on, man.
What do you got?
Just having fun.
I know.
All right. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Essentially, the question is, should transgender athletes be allowed to play in school sports? So it is kind of specific, and I want to point that out here just for a second. Virginia Wilcox says transgender of either sex should compete in their own league. Virginia says surgery cannot correct your DNA. Now, Danielle Lee, things like this exactly why it shouldn't be allowed. And this is when transgender fighter Fallon Fox broke her opponent's skull in an MMA fight. And Danielle, I appreciate you pointing that out. But I just want to be specific. We are talking about high school sports, but at the same point in time, I still respect your opinion, and I wanted to read your comment. Barbara DeMero says no, they should not be allowed to compete against biological females. Barbara says make another category for them. Rick Norton says only on a team of their birth gender. It isn't fair for a boy to play in girls' sports. By the way, welcome back, Rick. Welcome back, my good friend. Michelle Pacini, member of the club as well. Beautiful morning, KOAM, Mama. It is indeed, Michelle. I also feel the same. Only being allowed to compete in the gender you were born with, be much like a male heavy weightlifter changing to female, and then joining the female weightlifting team. Michelle says, so no, specifically, if it is a gender-specific sport, or like someone said, create a third sector. And so Michelle, kind of echoing what Barbara and also Danielle, I want to come back to yours, what you said, because Michelle was kind of pointing out, kind of be like, just switching over and maybe having an unfair advantage. And, like I said, welcome back, Rick. I'm glad you are back, my man. All right, KOAM News Now Facebook poll. 91% say no, transgender athletes should not be allowed to play on the school sports team. Plenty of time to make your vote heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We're going to come back. Let's do birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Private John Tyson, who was a member of the United States Army. He served from 1942 to 1945 in France. His hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. We're proud to salute John Tyson, a four-state hero.
So this was interesting because during the commercial break, this kiddo's picture was up on the big screen behind you, Jesse.
Yeah.
And immediately I looked up and a smile broke across my face. Because if Lena Farrow's smile that she has, if that does not make your morning better, folks, I don't know what else I can do. You look at her and you just immediately smile and you go, that kid is gonna be awesome. Absolutely love it. Now Lena's celebrating her first birthday. So Leanna, a huge birthday wish from all of us at KOAM, kiddo, as you have put a smile on everybody's face here in Oswego. She's in Oswego, I should say. We're not in Oswego.
Yeah, we see a lot
maybe in
of...
Oswego later today.
Oh, okay, that counts.
You never know.
Well, tell her we say happy birthday.
You know where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yes.
Where in the world is Michael Hayslip?
I don't even know how to transition from that, other than to say, Lena, thank you for having the most contagious smile we might have ever had.
I'm telling you, that picture right there just lit up my day.
So cute. Turning 1 year old. Now, turning 10 years old in Frontenac is Kay. Oh my goodness, it's Kaysen Morrison. Look at that.
What's up, Kaysen?
And the reason I even hesitated there, because I was looking at, you know what? This is, Kaysen, happy birthday, happy 10th birthday, and especially from your sister. KP had a birthday on Tuesday, so now you get to wish each other happy birthday. It's probably a heck of a week. Plus you got nice weather too.
Yeah, speaking of the knack, Isabella Gillette.
Look at that photo.
Number 12. That's a great picture right there. Isabella, I want you to have a marvelous, marvelous birthday, kiddo.
Turning 17 in Carthage, Alexis Buck. Great
Mom and Dad got her with the throwback.
Yeah, that's a good one. Happy birthday, Alexis.
She's like, I'm 17, you want it? Yeah, that's what having Mom and Dad will get you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mom and Dad, I've got a special birthday wish from Mom, Dad, and Ava going out to Easton Dent. And Easton turning 19 in St. Paul. Number 19 for the big number 49. Love that.
So, turning 31 today.
That's a great picture.
Is not one, but two. We got two birthdays here. First, we're going to start with Ashley Snyder, who's turning 31 in Mountain Valley, Kansas. And we've got Aaron Walker, who's also, not only are they celebrating their 31st birthdays together, Aaron's in Oswego, of course, but they are twins.
They are indeed.
And they're twinning on this birthday. Happy birthday.
Roll out to Gerard Zacazera Rollins, celebrating a birthday as well. Please have a marvelous, what is this, March? It's March 4th, right?
Yeah.
I had to think there for a second.
Yeah. Lizzie Roberts in Columbus, celebrating a birthday. Lizzie, happy birthday. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday so far.
Now, we have a March 3rd birthday, but I got to play catch up sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I want to wish a very happy birthday to our good friend Tub Moore. Tub in Crestline.
There's so much happiness in that photo. I love that. Carrie White in Iola. Carrie, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day in Iola.
Hey, I don't know how many of you are like NFL historians or anything. James Zorns has a birthday. His name is similar in nature to former Seattle Seahawks quarterback Jim Zorn.
I bet he gets that all the time.
Did you ever think of it? No, I guarantee he never gets that. No, trust me. Nobody's walking around going, your name is like Jim Zorn. James, a very happy birthday to you in Baxter Springs.
Happy birthday, man. And, in Pittsburgh, it's Rosina Scott's birthday. And not only does Rosina ride horses, but Rosina works at the Walmart in Pittsburgh and gets a whole lot of love from her coworkers. And I'm sure today is going to be a special one. So Rosina, from all of us here at KOAM, happy birthday.
Cool picture right there, Rosina. I love that. Adam Cole, a happy 31st birthday to you. Trevon Carter, party on. Turning 21. Everybody take heed in Neosho. And Gage Steele Girton, a happy 25th birthday in Galena. Now, here's Jesse Irwin with a very important birthday announcement.
Well, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. Just go to our website and sign up. You can get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The U.S. Capitol is under heightened security today amid new intelligence from the FBI warning of a potential domestic terror attack on the nation's capital. The threat is driven by a QAnon conspiracy theory that former President Trump will be inaugurated Thursday, March 4th, today. The Kansas Highway Patrol yesterday responded to a call to help investigate a suspicious device near the Pitt State campus. PSU police discovered the device around the 1500 block of Joplin Street near the campus. Authorities left the scene with the device a little after 7 yesterday evening. Authorities are not releasing any more information at this time. Well, a bomb squad detonated a suspicious package near the federal courthouse in Kansas City, Missouri Wednesday evening. The immediate area was evacuated after it was discovered. Authorities said the streets in front of the courthouse would remain closed while they finish their investigation. Police say the FBI is leading the investigation because the situation involved a federal building. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Jesse and I talking about changing belief systems as you grow older in life, and just a really interesting conversation that I love having. It shows you how intelligent and mature that he is and why I love having in my life. Now, I wasn't like feeding him a line. I was going to go. I was going to go the weather trend of the 7th day. But no, that's what we were talking about. One thing I do believe in are temperatures up into the high 60s, low 70s today with a good dose of sunshine. Now remember, that rain that we've been talking about coming off of the west coast that's going to bring us a low pressure system for Friday, mainly going to be the far western and southern portions of the 4 states. A lot of us aren't going to see rain. And even though you may see some raindrops, it's not going to be anything severe. It's going to be very light, get in, get out, and then setting up for a nice weekend. High 50s, low 60s, that's hard to beat for this time of March. Of course, you can stay up to date on the latest news, weather, and sports. All you got to do is download the KOAM News app. And then on the right-hand side, you take a picture, grab your phone. All you got to do is take a picture of those two right there. And that's going to deliver you to the place where you can download the KOAM News app and the Skywatch Weather app. Now remember, these are free and downloadable for all your mobile devices, with this being the middle right now of severe weather preparedness week, making sure that, I won't say keep you on your toes, but you know what I'm saying. It's about time to start paying attention to it as we work toward the middle of March and through spring.
Yeah, well, all right. We got noon news. We got the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 here in a second. We'll see you over there.
All right. Have a great Thursday. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.